Hello, everybody. Pastor Aaron here, Grace and Truth Church, Dunbar, 1030. Let me ask you, this is getting close to Easter, okay? Everything you are is because God allowed you to exist. Let's just think about that. Easter rolling up. Let's talk about this. Your words belong to God. Your thoughts belong to God. Your heart belongs to God. But He graciously gave you life and gave you free will. But your free will should choose to say these things of my life belong to God because I didn't create myself. Rebellion is using your thoughts, your words, your heart, your life for everything but for God. That's the choice that we have. That's the gospel. Mark 16. Jesus said, "Go tell the world this gospel. If you choose to believe out of your free will, that's your free will center. If quote unquote, out of your free will, you choose to believe, you're going to be saved. However, using your free will, your mind, your thoughts, your heart, you choose not to believe in Jesus, and you choose to use your thoughts, your mind, and your heart, your life, your actions to not be for God, you will be condemned. Again, picture a house with the word condemned on it. It's set for destruction. Condemned mean destined for eternal destruction. That's the lake of fire. That's hell. That's out of the presence of God because you chose in this life not to be with God. You see that you chose this realm. You're choosing earth over heaven, which leads me to my Easter, beginnings of the Easter season, the Passover, the crucifixion, Pilate, and Jesus and the Pharisees, the Jews. I'm reading out of John 18. Listen to this. Jesus standing before Pilate. This is good. Pilate says, "You are the king of the Jews?" And Jesus answered, "So are you saying this out of your own, or did someone else tell you this?" Oh, God literally looks at Pilate and says, "You're saying that. Is this coming out of your own free will, your own heart? Are you choosing, or is it just repeating something someone said? Where's this coming from? God asks that of you." And Pilate answered, "Well, I'm not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priest handed you over to me. What have you done? Why are they doing this? What's going on?" And Jesus says, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would be fighting so that I would not be handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not of this realm." Therefore, Pilate said to him, So based on what you're saying you're a king. But Jesus says, "Correct. I am a king. But for this purpose, I've been born. And for this, I have come into this world," that's this realm, "to testify to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." And Pilate said to him, "So what's the truth?" Ooh, shouldn't that what we be asking? And after saying this, he came out to the Jews and said to them, "I find no grounds at all for the charges in this case. However, you have a custom that if I release a prisoner, you at the Passover, therefore you do not wish that I release for you the king of the Jews?" And they shouted again, saying, "Not this man, but Barabbas." That's who they cried. "We have no king but Caesar." That's what they cry. "We have no king but Caesar." They chose submission to this realm. They chose submission to earthly kings. They swore allegiance to Babylon, to the workers of this realm, who the God of this world is Satan. It's what we learn. Paul tells us that in the book of Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 4:4. The God of this world is blinding the minds. But see, they swore allegiance, the Jews, the Pharisees, the ones who are of the nation, God's nation, Israel. They chose allegiance. We have no king, but this is God standing before them. So I go back to my first point of this video, is that you exist because of God. So today, we use our words to choose God. We use our thoughts on God. Are we doing this? Are you living your life like the Pharisees, living it for yourself, for this world? Or are you choosing today to say that, God, man, my words, I want to use my words for God. I want to tell people about Jesus throughout my day. Even when it seems inconvenient, be ready to preach in season, out of season. My thoughts, when I lay that in, are your thoughts on things not God? Or is your heart thoughts? What are they? And that's a question that should be, you ask yourself, or you should be able to say, you know what? I've got to deal with life. I've got to work. I've got to cut grass and do all this stuff, and I got chores. But that doesn't distract you. Then when I cut grass, my mind's on, I'm cutting grass, and my mind, my heart's thoughts are on God. That's a good time to think about the Lord, And nighttime when I'm trying to sleep, sometimes I may have a bad day and I may be wrestling with the problems, but most of the time my mind is on the Lord. I'm thinking about scriptures as I'm sleeping. Like I'm always in, that's a type of prayer, always be in prayer, right? Praying always. Books, encourage you, pick up books. When you're reading, like For Glory of God, that's Kenneth Hagin, learning, I'm soaking my mind on things. Another book I've read this week, Redeemed. I encourage you, you belong to God, but you could be rebellious and say, I want nothing to do with, like the Jews, I don't want nothing to do with God. Or you could say, I want everything, I want to know more about heaven. This is a good book. This was life-changing for me, knowing and experiencing God. From preacher from South Africa, man, that was life-changing. I got a dose of grace on that one. So I'm reading books. I'm preaching. I'm just preaching, man. This is old school. Are you going to live your life for God or not? Okay. And I know church has become, let me just say, and pat you on the head, hit your ears. Let's just, it's okay. God's forgiven you of all your sins. Yes, he has forgiven you of all your sins. So why would you want to indulge in sin? You're God's. Your actions belong to God. If that's the case, then we should want to stop doing the sinful thing. We should stop dwelling. Sin begins in the heart. This is what Jesus said. It's not what you put in your mouth that makes you sick. Sinful and defiled, it's the condition of your heart, and what comes out inside your heart is where evil thoughts begin. So we should put our thoughts first on God, and then our actions follow. There's a movie in the 80s called Rad. It's I was a BMXer in the 80s, and he's trying to do the backflip with the bike. He hits a bicycle, does a backflip, and they said, throw your head back. Where the head goes, the body follows. Where the thoughts go, the body follows. Where the heart goes, the life follows. So my encouragement, be thankful that you exist. Your thoughts, your heart, your actions, your words belong to God. Make those choices. Because in God is love, faithfulness, and there's peace. Outside of God is rebellion, sin, and destruction. This is my encouragement, because we're going to be looking at what Jesus did. He's going to pay the price for your rebellion. So do we at least owe it for us to turn our lives to God? And that's everything. Of course. Be encouraged. Be full of the Lord and love on God today. This is Pastor Aaron, Grace and Truth Church in Dunbar. We meet on 1030s. Spirit-filled, word-rich church. Old school in the right way, not religious. God bless you guys.